Hey guys, welcome back to the Around the Leagues podcast. I'm your host, Parrish. With me, as always, is Keenan Allstott. Today, we're going to go through recap UFC 249 from Saturday night,
Yep.
and it's really about all we got. I'll pitch some stuff at the end of the episode for next week, and maybe later this week if we're doing a stream again. It's been a while since we've done one of those, so we'll try to get
Yep.
that. Other than that, yeah, we'll jump into it. Saturday night was fun. There was live sports back. Uh,
Feels good, doesn't it?
yeah, I was able to watch the prelims on ESPN, and
Yep.
then the my ESPN Plus stream was a little late, so I couldn't open it. It wasn't for some reason the legal site that I was using wasn't loading, so I missed the first two fights on the main card. I caught the end of them.
I had a little bit of trouble. I paid for the show, and it wouldn't register that I paid for the show, so I almost had to buy it twice, and I was getting a little upset. But we got it figured out. We got it working. You want to run through the prelims, or do you want to get right into the main card?
We can go main card. I didn't really pay a whole lot of attention to the prelims. I just kind of had them on.
I understand. Main event: UFC 249, May 9th, 2020, Jacksonville, Florida. Main event, the interim UFC lightweight championship of the world. Tony Ferguson versus Justin Gaethje. You watched this fight, right?
Yeah, that was definitely one
Absolute masterclass of violence. I
that I got.
mean,
It was.
the favorite going into this fight, Tony Ferguson, riding a 12-fight win streak, arguably one of the best pound-for-pound fighters on the world. A lot of people thought he was the uncrowned lightweight king. Boy, he got worked on Saturday night. Justin Gaethje putting in that work, man. He was wild, man. What'd you think of that fight?
Yeah. So I've only seen clips of Gaethje in the past, so I didn't really know what to expect. But I mean, he dominated that fight, especially the last three and a half rounds. He
Oh,
was
yeah.
just landing every punch. He took over, and I mean, it was just whatever he wanted was on the table, and he was taking advantage. But I gotta give Ferguson some credit. His jaw can take a beat.
Yeah, I was about to say, that boy
That
Tony
dude
is a
was
$2
he
steak.
was staining through some pretty solid punches right there to the chin. So give him credit
Oh,
for
for
that
sure.
one.
For sure. And we'll go round by round here. Obviously, Justin Gaethje, no lightweight himself, even though he fights in the lightweight division. That was a play on words there. Dude's the former World Series of Fighting lightweight champion. Dude holds only 2 losses to his record. He's been known to have some exciting fights. He likes to stand in there in the pocket, likes to trade. 6 UFC fights, 7 UFC fight bonuses. Dude puts on an exciting fight every time he's out there. First round, they both came out. No ground and pound, no grappling. It was all going to be trading. They sat there in the pocket. I felt Justin Gaethje got more clean shots off. He was able to execute his angles a little bit more. He was mixing it up.
Uh-oh.
One thing that he did very well in this fight, he attacked the legs early and he did it often. He got to Tony Ferguson.
We lost connection.
So what?
All right, we're back now. We lost connection there for a second.
Oh, my bad, my bad. So do I need to restart all that?
Yeah, go for it.
All right, so first round, Tony Ferguson, Justin Gaethje. Justin Gaethje, known for being a heavy hitter, former World Series of Fighting lightweight champion. Duke comes in, big heavy leg kicks to start this fight off in the first round. That was something he did early and often. He attacked the bottom. He attacked the base of Tony Ferguson. Tony, he likes getting his movement in. He likes keeping people in range. He's usually the person that pieces you up in the inside. Justin Gaethje, he was getting kicks off, and he had some malintent, evil intentions. He was going hard to the legs, and when he wasn't going to the legs, he was attacking the head, and he was head hunting often. He didn't really go to the body as much as I was expecting him to, but every time he went to the head, he connected. First round, neither fighter really shed too much blood, but there was a lot of heavy shots landed. I thought the first round went to Justin Gaethje.
Yeah, I think he definitely took over more at the end, as you're going to get to. But
sure.
early on, it looked like it was definitely it was kind of back and forth, but it was an even fight, and it looked like it was going to be probably a lot closer than it ended up being in the end. But
sure. And, it was interesting because I mentioned this last week. Not enough people were talking about it. This was Tony's second weight cut in under a month. I mean, he's a former collegiate wrestler. Obviously, those guys, they cut weight all the time. But, if you're cutting 20 pounds and twice in a month, that's going to affect you. And I thought he came out slow. I didn't think he was as active as what he could have been. I thought Justin Gaethje, I thought he really executed where he needed to. He wasn't all wild and super aggressive, overly aggressive. But I thought he didn't win round one. Round two, if you could give one round to Tony Ferguson, this was the round you could give him. I didn't think he won this round. A lot of people, Justin Gaethje won the first 4.5 minutes of this round. He started executing even more. He started opening him up. He started swelling. First of all, he swelled up here in the middle of the forehead. And then you started seeing the chocolate Gaethje. I mean, sent him reeling. Don't know if he got saved by the bell, but I mean, at the end of round two, it certainly looked like Tony Ferguson was coming for a finish. And so I really thought Justin Gaethje won that round two. I thought he did more damage. I thought he had more moments. For Tony Ferguson, props to him though. Landed his most solid punch of the fight there at the end of round two. I don't know. What did you think? What did you think of that moment?
yeah, that was the Ferguson got the uppercut, right?
Yeah, right at the end of
That's
the
what I'm thinking of. Right at the very end, yeah. Yeah, I thought. I mean, that looked like it was going to give him that momentum. I mean, it was right at the buzzer too, and
Yep.
I thought that was definitely a chance for him to bounce back and kind of get some momentum going forward, especially middle of the fight. Has a chance to kind of make his claim and show that he's there, but obviously it didn't really pan out that way.
No. And then if you go to the beginning of the third, I don't know if that minute in between rounds really helped Justin or not. Oftentimes you see fighters get rocked at the end of the round. That minute goes by, they're not exactly in it. They come back out on spaghetti legs, and usually the fight ends shortly after. Justin Gaethje had said for the last couple of weeks he needed to get Tony Ferguson out of there in under 12 minutes or so. He said if it went deep into the third or even into the championship round, he was in trouble. Boy, that couldn't have been more wrong. He came out in the beginning of the third. He continued rocking Ferguson. This is where the damage really started to accumulate. You saw the blood start to trickle down the face of Tony Ferguson. Justin didn't look like he was getting touched up at all. I mean, there was some certain exchanges where Ferguson was able to land, but it felt like, Justin was able to land more powerful punches. He was able to land more of them. And Tony, he had that style. I'll give you two, give me two, and we'll keep doing that back and forth. That's just a game plan. That is what he loves. And boy, I mean, he started really piecing. There were several shots in this round alone that would have knocked out most lightweights, and Tony Ferguson didn't get knocked down. I mean, he took all of these punches, like you said. Several of these punches looked like they should have knocked him out cold. I don't know how he did it.
Yeah, I don't either. It was, I mean, you'd see one and you're like, damn, how did he stand through that? And then a couple seconds later, he's taking another one. You're like, holy shit, he's still up. And then, sure enough, there's a third and a fourth. And I mean, it was honestly the most impressive part of the entire fight.
I mean, he's got a hell of a chin. I mean, you don't win 12 straight fights and leave every opponent bloodied and damaged, take some punches yourself. So, I mean, props to him. But boy, the longer this fight went on, the worse it looked. I mean, after 3 rounds, I had a 3-0 Justin Gaethje. I mean, going into the top of the fourth, I really thought Tony Ferguson needed a finish to win this fight. Fourth round, it became more apparent that he needed to finish because he went out there and lost that round too. I mean, more damage. Fourth round is where you started to see his shin starting to bleed, both shins. He's taking those leg kicks. I mean, he was checking some of them, but Justin Gaethje, just very powerful. You know, if you start getting the shins to bleed, whew, you're putting in work. He sure was. He sure was, man. Tony Ferguson at this point, eyes were starting to swell up, starting to shut, blood just trickling, not only down his face, down his legs as well. Justin Gaethje, he's starting to get warmed up. He's starting to feel himself. He's just throwing anything he can throw. He's landing very clean shots. I think by the end of the fourth, Tony had probably taken 15 to 20 knockout punches. I mean, very hard, very clean to the face. Would have knocked out many guys in that division. Man, I tell you what, props to Tony Ferguson. I had him losing 4 rounds to nothing after 4. But boy, I mean, he gave himself a chance going into the 5th. You got to give him that.
Yeah, and I think Gaethje, you could see, like, you know, right there, middle of the 4th round, he started getting that confidence, and he was being more aggressive in his attack. He wasn't being as passive as he was. I mean, he was still aggressive early on, but he began to just take more and more swings because he was hitting. And he connected on. It felt like he was connecting on every single punch he threw.
Oh, for sure.
And I mean, obviously, that's going to take its toll over the course of the fight. And then, you know, coming into the 4th round, I mean, he's just clean shot after clean shot after clean shot. Wherever he wants it, he could put it in to the body. He could throw it. I mean, kicks to the legs were getting brutal. And I mean, eventually, it just was obviously just too much to handle.
Yeah, and then at the end of the 4th, you see Gaethje going back to his corner. They showed the interaction there in between Trevor Whitman, his coach. He told him, don't get too excited. This is where you've lost fights in the past, and that's true. In the Eddie Alvarez, Dustin Poirier fights, Gaethje got comfortable, ended up getting his lights shut off. Gaethje went out there, fought a really smart 5th round. He could have went out there really looking for the knockout blow. He went out there, just played his game. And his game was hitting hard and being precise, and that's what he did. You saw there near the end of the fight, I mean, Ferguson at this point, I don't know if he could see. I mean, just blood. I mean,
his left eye was like swollen shut. There's blood over his right eye. I don't know how he was doing it.
Dude, it was bad. And right before the fight got called off, you see him just do this thing where he bobs his head like this. You know a fighter's in trouble.
There was he had another one where I can't remember if he took a kick or something. I think he got hit in the head, and you can see him, he like shakes his leg, like he can't feel his leg. Yeah. He's like kicking it out, and it's just like, it's over. He's not feeling it right now.
Like usually, there's certain telltale signs that a fighter is getting ready to get his lights shut off, or is very, very close to getting to that point. If a guy starts talking like, bring it on, you know, that's a bad sign. He just got robbed. If a guy gets hit, he does that stumble backwards, your boy just got rocked. If the dude is sitting there with blood trickling down his face and he's shaking his head like this, trying to get back in the game, he's down 4 rounds and he's getting ready to get his lights shut off. I mean, dude was tougher than a $2 steak, got whipped like a government mule. I mean, Herb Dean came in there. I mean, dude didn't even get knocked down. Herb Dean was just like, I've seen enough. Stop this assault.
Yeah. And then he was pissed, but like, yeah, I mean, it was probably the smart call. You were getting obliterated. I mean, Gaethje was just so profound at the end of that fight. It was impressive.
Oh, for sure. And honestly, I mean, I've seen other people say this. I wholeheartedly agree. They could have stopped that fight way earlier than what they did.
Yeah, I was surprised it went that long.
Oh, for sure. I did not need to see the last 90 seconds of that fight at least. I honestly don't know if I needed to see the 5th. By the end of the 4th, it was very clear what the result was going to be. And for 3.5 minutes of that 5th round, Tony Ferguson took unnecessary damage. Unnecessary. Yeah. He was not going to win that fight. He was losing the 5th round when he got stopped. I mean, there's an unspoken code in both boxing and mixed martial arts. There is a code that says, I will stop trying to win as long as you stop trying to hurt me. You see that all the time in decision fights where a guy's losing every single round. A guy will be like, listen, I won't try to throw a knockout. I won't try to knock your head off as long as you don't try to hurt me. Justin Gaethje said, no, I'm going to continue to beat the shit out of you. And that's exactly what happened. Just more clean headshots. Didn't attack the body whatsoever. I mean, dude was headhunting. There's only so much head trauma you can allow one person to take. And when Tony Ferguson is stumbling over his words in 25 years, he could thank those 5 minutes on Saturday night right before he got knocked out. I didn't need to see it. Yeah. Herb Dean decided he didn't need to see anymore. Justin Gaethje, a master class in violence, knocks out a technical knockout of Tony Ferguson, becomes the new interim UFC lightweight champion of the world. Very, very impressive performance.
Yeah, and I mean, I've said this every time we talk UFC. Like, I'm not a big UFC guy. I'll watch the fight, but I'm not gonna sit here and tell you I know what I'm talking about half the time. But Gaethje's a guy that is now on my radar, and I'm gonna watch his fights. That's just how it works for me. You know, if I like what I see, you're gonna get my attention. I'm gonna watch. Hopefully, him continue to just kick dudes' asses because it was. I mean, that was the last fight of the night, and it was a good one. And I'm glad I stayed up for it.
Oh yeah, absolutely great fight. And I haven't seen the numbers yet on how many people bought the pay-per-view. I don't know how many people saw the prelims or whatever. It was the only live event going on Saturday night. If you're gonna have a breakout star-making moment, that was the night to do it. Justin Gaethje put on about as perfect of a performance as you can have in the octagon. Dominated Tony Ferguson, the boogeyman of the UFC. Dominated him from start to finish. Dude made himself a star on Saturday night.
Yeah, and what was I gonna say? Forget about it. I had some.
So Noah, obviously looking forward now he is the interim lightweight champion. He will likely face the undisputed lightweight champion of the world, Khabib Nurmagomedov, later on this summer. Probably going to be either late August or early September. Khabib in Ramadan right now, very devout Muslim. He's doing Ramadan until the end of the month. After that, he says he likes to have about maybe 8 weeks off to recover, try to get his body back into shape, and then he'll get into camp. That is a very interesting fight because Justin Gaethje, for as great of a striker as he is, he was an NCAA All-American in wrestling. The dude knows how to grapple on the ground. If he can stuff the greatest takedown on planet Earth, which Khabib Nurmagomedov has, the greatest double leg in the world, if he can prevent himself from being on the bottom, Khabib Nurmagomedov could have a long night. Justin Gaethje could be one, as in 28. Khabib does not have the stand-up game that Justin Gaethje has. Justin Gaethje has knockout power in both hands. He has great movement. He can move his head off the center line. He can mix it up, head, legs, and body. He can take you to the ground if he needs to. He won't want to against Khabib, however. Khabib, he's got one tool. He's got the double leg, and if he puts you on the ground, he's not letting you up. He is a boa constrictor. Dude lays, prays, grounds, pounds. He mauls folks. That's what Tony Ferguson does to people. Tony Ferguson got mauled on Saturday night. There's certain fights that take a part of your soul from. That fight took part of Tony Ferguson's soul. I don't know if we'll ever see old Tony Ferguson. I don't know if we'll ever see the boogeyman back in true form in the UFC. But what I do know is that people are going to give Justin Gaethje a legitimate shot against perhaps the greatest pound-for-pound fighter on the planet. The only undefeated world champion in mixed martial arts today, Khabib Nurmagomedov. That is a must-see fight, a style clash for the ages. Those two, when they square off later this summer, if they're not the main event, they're messing up, first of all. But that pay-per-view should do 1 million buys. I want to see it. I know you probably want to see it. There are millions of people around the world who want to see it. Dana gets that fight. Make a date for it. We're ready for it. Let's get it going.
Yeah, I mean, that's going to be a fight that I would probably actually buy if I'm being honest, just because, I mean, not that I don't already buy these fights, as I've already said, but I would probably get that fight and maybe some food with it because that's when you're going to want to watch. Just hopefully it goes the distance so you're not wasting your money.
Yeah. And I mean, if you're wanting to finish a 5th round finish with 90 seconds to go where one dude just beats the shit out of the other guy for 23 and a half minutes. That's the kind of fight you want to watch. If you're wanting to get your money's worth, that's exactly what you pay, you know?
Yeah.
And something else to look forward to now. If Khabib doesn't sign a contract for an August or September date, you could potentially see Justin Gaethje versus Conor McGregor earlier in the summer, maybe International Fight Week, somewhere in that area. Justin Gaethje did not take a whole lot of damage in this fight. He said it'll probably take a couple months off to recover. I mean, he did take a fair amount of punishment, but in terms of visual damage, he did not take that much. Tony left much worse shape. He just got discharged from the hospital this morning. Dude got a fractured orbital out of it. I mean, dude got his ass whipped bad, real bad. Justin Gaethje, if he were to fight Conor McGregor, that's the fight the UFC would like to have. They're both very good stand-up game. He's got the left hand. That's how he made all of his money. That's how he got Aldo with that punch. He put Eddie Alvarez on the canvas with that punch. He won 2 world titles with that left hand. Justin Gaethje, on the other hand, he can knock you out with the left. He can knock you out with the right. He can take you down. He can ground it down. He's not going to put on a boring fight. Conor's not known to put on a boring fight. That's a fight that I would like to see as well. The winner of that fight would likely face Khabib. Obviously, there's a good storyline with each. Justin Gaethje could be a good style clash for Khabib if he can defend the takedown. Conor, obviously, it would be the rematch of their 2018 clash. That was one of the biggest fights in UFC history. Obviously, it's got a great storyline to it. The UFC would like to make that rematch. That would give them a reason to do it. The undisputed championship versus the interim championship. I mean, they can't go wrong either way. I would like to see Gaethje hold off, fight Khabib, but, you know, if they decide to go that route, I'm not mad at it either.
Yeah, I would take either one.
Oh, 100%.
100%. Which fight you want to hit next?
Yeah, we'll go to the co-main event. The UFC Bantamweight Championship of the World. Henry Cejudo versus the former 2-time champion Dominic Cruz. This one I called wrong. I called the Ferguson fight wrong last week. I called this fight wrong. I thought Dominic Cruz had more weapons than what he ended up showing. Henry Cejudo, well, I'll get into it here later, but man, it's time to give that boy his flowers. I mean, they come out first round. I thought Dominic was going to start aiming them out. I thought he was going to start attacking the legs more than he did. I thought he was going to use that reach and keep Henry at bay. Henry just said no. Screw all that. The dude was putting every bit of his power, every bit of his energy into those leg kicks. The dude was swinging so hard that Dominic was jumping over with his lead leg and was getting hit on the back leg as this kick was coming through. Henry just, I mean, he was connecting with shots. The leg kicks were brutal. It stopped Dominic's movement, which ended up being a big factor later on. I thought in the first round, I thought Henry won that round very clear. I thought it was a very, I wouldn't say a dominant 10-9, but there was absolutely not a doubt in my mind Henry Cejudo won that first round. Now, before we get into the meat and potatoes of this fight, you said that Henry Cejudo had this locked up as soon as he walked out.
Yeah, he came out to Show Goes On by Lupe Fiasco. Yeah, he had it in the bag. Which again, I don't know what Tony Ferguson came out to. It wasn't. I heard his song. I was like, man, this sucks. This dude's gonna lose. And look at that. I was right again. So it's all about how you come out. But yeah, Cejudo came out. I mean, he knew what he needed to do. He played Lupe Fiasco like it's 2012, and he kicked some ass.
Yeah, he went out there and won the first round clean. Second round. In between rounds, Dominic's corner told him, hey, you got to get mean. You got to get aggressive. Second round, he looked a little bit better. Second round, he comes out. He's landing a little bit more. He's using his range a little bit more. He's landing a few kicks of his own. Henry, though, I mean, he just laid it on him. He's hitting the kicks. He's landing punches. He's not afraid to mix it up with Dominic. Dominic's got maybe the best, the most unique footwork in mixed martial arts history. Henry just said, I don't care about the dancing. Let's fight. And he brought one thing that ended up being. I thought this was going to be a bigger factor. It proved not to be. Late in the round, about 30 seconds to go, they get a headbutt, accidental. Henry has this big wound that opens up in his hairline. Blood starts trickling down at a pretty significant rate. Dominic didn't want the fight to be called there. Obviously, bad enough getting in the eye. Of Henry that bad, so they weren't going to stop it anyway. They would have stopped that fight at that moment. Henry Cejudo won one world title. Way of come back in for I don't know, one of his weird angling punches, and fucking Henry connects with that knee to the rocks him. I mean, leaves him with the stiff face. Dominic falls back on his ass, and I mean, this is where it gets interesting. I mean, Henry connects with probably a solid dozen. That's no exaggeration. About a dozen very clean shots on the ground. Dominic didn't defend any of them. He's trying to get back to his feet. Keith Anderson stops the fight. Dominic protests the decision, says it was a bad stoppage. That's about as I thought it was a good. I thought Henry clearly won that fight at that moment. I mean, it was.
Yeah.
I don't know. What did you?
Yeah, I thought it was definitely over. I don't know. He was saying, like, if I'm trying to get back up, you can't stop the fight. It's like, yeah, but you were falling back and getting just pummeled. Like,
oh yeah.
Yeah, I would have called that shit too. It wasn't gonna end well for you.
No, I mean, it was right at the end of the round. I mean, there was only like maybe 5-6 seconds left before the bell rang. But in those 5 or 6 seconds, he was going to eat another dozen punches. I mean, he was turtling up. Henry was on top of him landing. He got up against the fence, and yeah, it looked like he had both feet kind of on the ground with his body off of it. But, I mean, he kept eating punches. And, I mean, you got to give the ref a reason to not stop the fight. If you get rocked as badly as he got rocked, and you eat as many punches undefended as what he ate, the ref's got no choice. You have to save the fighter from himself. How much unprotected, unanswered head trauma are you going to allow one person to take? We saw it in the main event with Tony Ferguson. That dude took so much unanswered head trauma that dude might be stuttering tomorrow. Dominic Cruz, maybe he should be thankful. I think once he goes back, watches that fight, maybe if he starts analyzing it, he'll be a little bit more accepting of that finish. I don't know. I thought it was a good fight. I thought it was a good decision. Dominic Cruz, probably my favorite fighter. I was a little bit biased going in. Henry Cejudo whooped that boy's ass. That was about as clean of a victory as you could have. And, I mean, I don't know. What we got to the post-fight interview. This one kind of surprised me a little bit. I know you're not as big into it, so you may not be as you may not have been as thrown off by it as what I was. Henry Cejudo retired in the octagon on Saturday night in front of 0 fans. Nobody was. Dude retired in front of his entire fan club. Nobody. I mean, God, that's really sad. He is probably one of, if not, I wouldn't say he's the most decorated. He certainly is one of the most decorated combat sports athletes in history. A former Olympic gold medalist in wrestling. He has won and defended world titles in 2 divisions in the UFC. If this really is his last fight, he finished his career about as good as anybody ever has. It's about as good as he could. He defeated 3 of the top 5 guys, maybe the top 3 guys under 145 pounds in history. Defeated Mighty Mouse by split decision, won the flyweight belt. He defended the flyweight belt against TJ Dillashaw. Some people say he might be one of the best 135ers ever. He defeated Marlon Moraes, knocked him out in the 3rd, and then he knocks out Dominic Cruz. In a lot of people's opinion, the greatest bantamweight ever. Knocked him, all those fights, 4 consecutive fights, 4 consecutive victories. About as good of a stretch as you can have. Congratulations, Henry Cejudo. And if this is a career, well done on your career. Absolutely brilliant job with what you've done, sir. Congratulations.
Yeah, he definitely went out with a bang. So, I mean, I could understand the idea of calling it quits then. I mean, yeah, it's obviously not going to be a fun sport to keep doing. So, if you can go out with a big win like that and avoid that damage moving forward, I think it's not like it's the wrong decision or anything like that. I think he showed that he's up there with the best of them, and he's stepping away, and that's totally fine. So, kudos to him. That was a hell of a fight.
Yeah, it was. And, Henry, he's It really leaves. He left two divisions kind of in limbo now. Right now, there's no flyweight champion and there's no bantamweight champion. And I mean, granted, the flyweight championship you can't really do much about it because Figueroa missed weight a couple months ago when he beat Benavidez, and so there's no champion down there right now. Bantamweight, this is really fun now. That is a stacked division. You can make any matchup in that division, and it's a fun one, and you can justify it being a title match. You have Peter Yan from Russia. Dana White said, whatever the next fight is for the title, Peter Yan's going to be in it. I believe it. I hope so. Peter Yan, one of the baddest 135ers on the planet. You have Corey Sandhagen down there. You have Aljamain Sterling. You have Marlon Moraes. You have Jose Aldo, who was coming off a loss, but was going to fight for the title before the pandemic started. You could put him in there. You put Dominic Cruz in there if you really felt like that decision was early. He's a couple wins away from being right in the top. January 2021 rolls around. TJ Dillashaw gets back off the suspension, and he's going to be coming for the title as well. I mean, he never lost the 135-pound title. Remember, he went down to 125, lost to Cejudo. He was trying to end that division for good. He had to vacate that title. And, I think whenever he comes back, he's getting a title shot. And so, you might get two title fights at 135 before Dillashaw comes back. Maybe they get a mix between maybe – Sandhagen and Sterling, Yan and Sandhagen. A lot of things you can do in that division. I'm looking forward to it. I hope they take that title fight sooner rather than later.
Yeah. I guess you hit the nail on the head because I don't.
Yeah.
I don't know who the contenders would even be. But.
Well, speaking of hitting the nail on the head, how about our next fight? At heavyweight, Francis Ngannou versus Jahenzo Rozenstruik. Boy, we're going to spend more time talking about this than what the fight actually, than how long it actually.
We already have.
Goodness gracious. This fight, it was either going to be one of two things. It was either going to be super boring or it was going to be super quick. Well, it was the latter. Ngannou comes out.
Yeah.
As soon as the bell rings, they touch gloves, they swear off for about 10 seconds, and then as soon as Ngannou starts walking downhill, it was over. I mean,
yeah, it
was bad. Right hook, left uppercut, sends Rozenstruik into the fence, gets a couple unprotected waylays against the fence. Call that shit. It was over.
Yeah, it was funny because that was the first fight that I was actually able to watch, and he just they're standing there for 10 seconds, okay, and then blink of an eye, it's over, and it's just okay. Well, it went from being the boring fight that was on the table, and then it became over. So I mean, it technically hit both your criteria in an 18-second fight. So I mean, it just happened so fast.
I mean, is there anything scary? Granted, we're too young to have experienced prime Mike Tyson. Mike Tyson's prime was over before we were born, so we never really got to experience it as it was happening. Francis Ngannou might be the modern-day Mike Tyson. Does anybody hit harder or send people into orbit as that guy does? That dude ends career. I mean, my goodness. His last 4 fights, he fought who did he fight? He fought Curtis Blades, former world champion Cain Velasquez, retired Cain Velasquez, by the way. He fought former world champion JDS, and then he fought, Rozenstruik. The combined fight time of those 4 fights, a half round.
Yeah. It was 18 seconds, 46 seconds, 70 seconds, and 15.
And 25 seconds.
Yeah.
Dude ends fights. He ends them quick. All he needs is one of these. This puts you to sleep, and it puts you to sleep quick. I mean, this dude, if he's not the number 1 contender, we are screwing up somewhere. This dude, get that man a title shot. He has earned it.
Yeah, I mean, I guess you'll have questions of can he last an entire fight, but then again, he's kind of proven that he doesn't need to. It's just, I can't remember who it was. Somebody posted something on Twitter. They said 2 things you can't do during a Ngannou fight: go to the bathroom or blink.
I mean, you're not lying.
And it was
Dude,
so quick. It was.
The dude looks like he was sculpted out of marble. The dude looks like how a fighter should look. Dude is scary. I mean, if that guy starts walking you down, you messed up somewhere in life. The dude, it's funny. I mean, he just goes to the gym and he's like, takedowns. What is that? He just hits the heavy bag for hours. I don't know how they build them down there in Cameroon, but boy, they built a super fighter down there.
Yeah.
So, look, I mean, looking ahead, I mean, you obviously have the heavyweight title fight here coming up later this summer. Daniel Cormier and Stipe Miocic. That is an interesting fight. If DC wins that fight, he is vowed to retire. That will leave the belt vacant. You think that that's going to put Francis Ngannou in one of those spots? I mean, then that question becomes, who's the second person in that fight? Stipe, does he immediately get shot back into that fight? We've seen Ngannou and Stipe fight before. Stipe figured out you got to take out Francis. You got to take him down. You got to hold him down there. If he punches you, it's likely over. And so, he figured that out. He was able to retain his title a couple years ago whenever they fought. Do you get John Jones, who has had his trouble at light heavyweight in his last 3 fights? You figure last spring when he fought Anthony Smith, if Anthony Smith decides he doesn't want to fight anymore, Jones would have been disqualified, would have lost the light heavyweight title. Back in late July, International Fight Week, he fights Thiago Santos. Santos on one leg won on a scorecard. He won 47, he won 48-47 on one judge's scorecard, lost a split decision. I personally felt he lost rounds 2, 3, and 4. But you could argue Jones lost that fight. Earlier this year, he fights Dominic Reyes. Many people, myself included, thought Jones lost that fight. So he's had trouble at 205. He goes up to 265. He's going to fight cats who have the same reach. He's going to fight cats that are bigger. He's going to fight cats that hit a hell of a lot harder. You could potentially see Francis Ngannou and John Jones. And boy, you want to talk about a million buy pay-per-view, that would do it. John Jones, if he gets touched by Francis Ngannou, you might see John Jones staring at the lights like no one's ever done to him before. It's really interesting. Of course, a few things got to fall in line for that to happen. You have to have DC win. You have to have him retire. You have to have Stipe not get back into the picture. This upcoming weekend, you have Alistair Overeem and Walt Harris fighting. If Harris wins that fight, maybe he gets put in that position. Overeem, if he fights, maybe he gets put into that position. So a lot of things can happen. I heard a rumor. I can't confirm this, but I heard a rumor that Francis Ngannou is sticking around this week in Jacksonville just in case one of those two can't fight. And boy, I tell you what, if I was the other fighter, I'd fake an injury. I'd be like, oh no, man, I can't fight Francis. I mean, boy, dude is scary. It's really funny because there's only so many fighters you can put up against Francis right now. He's obviously shown he can knock the shit out of guys that have been former world champions. As a state athletic commission, you have to protect fighters. You can't put Billy Backpacks in there with Francis. You're gonna kill somebody. You know what I mean? You can't.
It's gonna be Billy. It's not gonna be Francis.
No, I mean you can't put him in there with Karate Keith. I mean Karate Keith's gonna die. And so I think there's only one fight you can make. It's got to be for the title. Francis Ngannou, hell of a performance. If that dude wasn't already a star, that fight, go watch it on Snapchat. Dude made himself a star Saturday night, just like he.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, it was. I remember seeing like his last 4 fights, like the time of it. That's just not even fair.
No, dude knocks people out, knocks them out quick. Don't blink, just like I said, So, going down the card, this was a featherweight fight. Jeremy Stephens versus Calvin Kattar. This one was interesting. So, there was a little bit of animosity going into this fight. Jeremy Stephens came in overweight, weighed in 150.5 pounds, 4.5 pounds overweight. I didn't realize this, but I guess he was one of the first ones on the scales on Friday, which means he put in max effort to cut that weight. It was like, yeah, I'm not gonna do it. And so, they get in there first round. They go a little bit back and forth. That second round, though, boy, Qatar knocks him out clean and then lands that elbow down there on the bottom. I mean, if he was mad at Jeremy Stevens, he took it out on him, and he gets 30% of his check. So I mean, that's a pretty good day if you ask me. You know what I mean?
Is that the stipulation then for not hitting the weight?
Yeah, if you miss weight, it's 30% of your paycheck.
Okay, that's what I figured. I figured there was something for it. Damn,
Yeah.
I remember I didn't get to see.
I think if you miss it
Go
by
ahead.
5 pounds, you pay 50% of your paycheck. But he came in, he cut just enough weight to avoid that extra 20%. You know?
I guess that's the only positive for him. I didn't get to see that one. I didn't have it up yet, but I caught the highlight of just the knockout. 'Cause they hit elbows at the same time, right? They both landed one to the face, like simultaneously, but Qatar's was a little bit more
Had a little bit more
powerful. Yeah.
Had a little bit more Qatar, I mean, he's a bad SOB. Jeremy Stevens, I told you this last week. Every time I pick this guy, he seems to find a way to lose, and he didn't let me down this time, So, he's got 33 UFC fights. Obviously, he's got some of the most fights in history. He's 4th on the all-time list in terms of total fight time. The dude goes out there. He's got 33 fights and 17 losses, but he always puts on an exciting fight. I mean, the fight wasn't boring. He just came out on the losing end. So, I mean, bad day for San Diego. Cruz and Stevens comes out of the same camp. They're 0-2 this weekend, but, hey, it is what it is.
Yeah, I mean, it sucks. I remember I was playing PlayStation during this fight. One of my buddies had it on. He had the actual pay-per-view. He's watching it and he just goes, "Oh shit, he's out!" I'm like, "Oh shit!" So I immediately went to Twitter and I was looking for it, scrolling.
Yeah.
I finally found it. I mean, it was a clean shot.
Oh, very clean.
Shit was her elbow right to like the upper lid, like.
Oh yeah, and then he's on the ground and it's like you can tell, like when the writing's on the wall that the guy's getting ready to be finished, like it's very clear. And this guy is on his back looking up at the lights, and then Qatar just sitting there swinging, and then hits that elbow, that bloody. I mean, dude just has blood dripping off of him, and I mean, good on Qatar, man. Good on him.
Yeah, that was a wild one. That was a very entertaining knockout for sure.
Oh, very much so. And then we go to the curtain jerker of the main card. This was probably I thought it was the most boring fight on the main card. I still thought it was entertaining. Greg Hardy, Jorgen De Castro. This one was a tale of two fights. So in the first round, De Castro chopping wood, as they say in mixed martial arts. Dude was hitting leg kick after leg kick after leg kick. 2 minutes in, you see the left knee of Greg Hardy just red as a Christmas light bulb, dude. I mean, he was getting lit up. Dude checked precisely 0. Nada of these kicks. He was just like, yeah, come on, let's do it. And he was just like, all right, boom, boom, boom. Dude probably ate 10 leg kicks in the first couple minutes. And then there's no fans in attendance, right? There's nobody there. So you can hear the coaches. You can hear the announcers. It was a great show, by the way. I loved not having fans in attendance and being able to hear the coaches. But Greg Hardy said after the fight, he was like, yeah, I heard Daniel Cormier saying that I needed to start checking leg kicks. And it's like, dude, you've been fighting for 2 years and you don't know that you should check leg kicks? What? Like, dude, like that thing that really hurts that prevents you from moving well? Yeah, you should probably block that. He's like, oh yeah, we need to be told that in the second round. So it just really pissed me off. So you get to the second round, Jorgen De Castro, he throws a leg kick, but he like messes up his toe or something because like from like 3 minutes of the second round onward, dude is inactive. He doesn't throw the kicks. Greg Hardy, he didn't have to check him because he didn't throw him. And then, Hardy was more active. Heavyweights generally have the least amount of talent. It's just the way it is. You usually rely on that brawling style. You usually look for the knockout, not a whole lot of technique. Boy, this fight was very indicative of that. These guys is moving around. They got the graciousness, or they were about as graceful as a newborn deer, just walking around in there, just stumbling around. I thought Greg Hardy lost the first, won the second, and won the third. DeCastro in the third round, he slips on the ground and lays on the mat for a minute, and Greg Hardy's punching his thighs, and I'm like, dude, you're losing this fight. It's a really bold strategy to just lay on your back and absorb damage. Really bold strategy. I'm not gonna knock it, but boy, not what I would have
done. No, I mean, I probably wouldn't do the same. It sucked. I didn't get to catch any of that fight, but I'm also glad because I'm not gonna sit there and watch Greg Hardy.
Especially watching Greg Hardy win. You know what I mean? Greg Hardy wins that fight. It's a little unfortunate, but it is what it is.
Yep. I mean, I guess he's good at fighting. He's shown that. So.
Yeah. I don't know if you count his fights against women as a part of his history, but I mean, if you do, he's been fighting for years. But
yeah, and he's really good at it. So
yeah, and
the only thing he needs left in the fucking octagon is a weapon.
Yeah, we do not condone domestic violence here. That's why we were wanting Greg Hardy to lose, and so hopefully, maybe they'll put him in there with Ngannou next. Let's go.
I mean, I'd be all in for that one. Just knock that dude's teeth back to his throat.
Yeah,
if you guys don't know the backstory on Greg Hardy, go ahead and give that a little search on Google. That dude is
trash.
Let's just say he played defensive end for the Cowboys, so he's got some sort of history. Jesus Christ, that guy was a scumbag.
Yeah, he's trash. He is garbage. And so, Dana, I mean, Ngannou didn't take much damage. I mean, Hardy's leg will recover. Let's get that fight going. I promise you. Well, the fans will like it. I'm just saying. So, that did it for the main card. The prelims, just a couple highlights here. Donald Cerrone got robbed in the prelim feature bout. Fights Anthony Pettis. I thought he won on the cards 29-28. I thought Pettis won the third round. A lot of people thought Cerrone won all three rounds. The judges gave the fight to Anthony Pettis on a split decision. I was surprised when they read the cards off. I thought Anthony Pettis lost the first two rounds clear. I mean, the dude got taken down in each of the first two rounds. And he was hitting harder than Cerrone, but he was landing fewer times. I mean, I thought the judges messed that card up, but, who am I? But later on in the card, Michelle Waterson fights Carla Esparza. This fight's another weird scorecard, dueling 37-27 scorecards, or 30-27 scorecards. Nothing pisses me off more in mixed martial arts than when someone wins 30-27 and then another judge makes them lose 27-30. Just really bad judging here. It really ticks me off. I hate it. I wish they could figure it out. But when only three people's opinion in the world matters, you'd like for it to get it right. So that ticked me off pretty good. A fight that you should watch. If you're listening to this, did not watch the prelims, a fight you should go watch. Bryce Mitchell, Thug Nasty versus Charles Rosa. This fight, a very rare. You don't see this every day, folks. A very rare 30-24 scorecard where the guy only grappled. There was not very much striking in this fight. There was two things. Bryce Mitchell went for the head and arm choke, and he went for the twister. The twister, one of the hardest submissions in jiu-jitsu. He completed the twister, only had the second one ever back last year, 2019 submission of the year. The dude had the twister in twice and lost one because of the bell. If the bell doesn't sound, the guy likely taps out and he gets his second consecutive twister finish. If you haven't watched it, go see it. It's a master class in jiu-jitsu. It proves that grappling can be fun if you know what you're watching. Very entertaining. Just go do yourselves a favor. Check that fight out. A dominating a thorough one-sided ass whooping by Bryce Mitchell, in which Charles Rosa does not look like he took much damage, but boy, he lost every round very, very handedly. A rare 30-24 on the cards.
Yeah, I believe I saw brief glimpses of that fight, but not a whole lot. It was just fun, but I didn't catch much.
Yeah, you get a chance, check that fight out in whole, man. It is a great fight. Absolute brilliancy in terms of jiu-jitsu, groundwork, grappling. Bryce Mitchell, that dude is going to be a superstar. That dude, I could see him getting a flyweight title shot in the next 12 months. I mean, the dude, he's entertaining. He gives great interviews. He tries to pull off very tough, very unique submissions. I mean, the dude, he goes out there, gives you a performance. He puts up very many more 30-24 scorecards. That dude's going to have UFC gold around his waist in no time. Look out for Thug Nasty.
Right on, brother.
Yeah. So that does it for the card. In terms of Saturday, the UFC, they got 2 more cards this weekend. Or this week, Wednesday night, Anthony Smith and Glover Teixeira face off in the light heavyweight division. That's Wednesday night. Saturday night, their main event, Alistair Overeem, Walt Harris. They got 2 more cards. They got about 20 more fights they're doing this week. Live sports is back, baby. Let's go.
Are those on ESPN or are those pay-per-view still?
I believe those are going to be ESPN Plus cards. Now, I think the prelims will be on ESPN. I think the main cards will be on ESPN Plus. I can't confirm that. They might put them on ESPN. I'm not sure. Yeah. I'd have to check.
All right, yeah, I'll check. I'll probably have ESPN Plus for that though.
Yeah, I was about to say, I know they're not pay-per-view.
So, yeah, we'll look forward to those.
Something else to watch. Yeah, something else to mention. I forgot to mention this. They announced this on Saturday night. Georges St. Pierre is being inducted into the UFC Hall of Fame. Personally, he is my greatest of all time. I think he is the greatest mixed martial artist to ever live. The dude, epitome of technique. The utmost respect for all of his opponents. If you look at anybody and say they did it the right way, it would be Georges St. Pierre. The dude is a 3-time UFC champion, won it twice at welterweight, won one at middleweight. The dude retires, comes back after 4 years, wins the middleweight championship of the world in the main event at Madison Square Garden against Michael Bisping. The dude has had so many tough fights in his career. Dude beat Nate Diaz. Dude beats Johnny Hendricks. Dude beats Michael Bisping. I mean, Damian Maia, I believe he beat. I mean, the dude just beat so many good guys over his career. He put mixed martial arts on the map in Canada, a 3-time Canadian Athlete of the Year. The dude, I would put him up against any fighter's resume ever, and I would think Georges St. Pierre is just the go. I mean, the dude, congratulations to George. Like I said, he was my in terms of the GOAT list. For me, it goes Georges St. Pierre, Demetrius Johnson. If we're counting steroids, John Jones, Daniel Cormier, and then Anderson Silva. I mean, that is my top 5. Georges St. Pierre, career well done, sir. Congratulations on your induction to the UFC Hall of Fame.
Yeah, he was one of the guys that I knew growing up, so he had to have been doing something right. I think a lot of people knew of UFC because of him. So.
Oh yeah, he was one of the first guys to get $1 million paychecks. For the longest time, title fights, guys were making 6 figures. George was one of the first guys to make $5 million a fight, and now for pay-per-view title fights, for the guys who are getting a cut of pay-per-view, where guys are getting a cut of live gate. You know, now guys are making 7 figures pretty regularly after bonuses and everything are figured in. A lot of guys are still probably severely underpaid. The money is not the same as what it is in boxing. But Georges St. Pierre, I mean, he was the first guy. He may have been UFC's first international superstar. I mean, a lot of guys here in the U.S., Chuck Liddell, Randy Couture. You had a lot of those guys who were really. Rashad Evans was really good. You had a lot of those guys who were good, but you had Anderson Silva from Brazil, George from Canada. I mean, those guys, they put UFC on the map. And so, George, whenever the UFC's book is written one of these years, whenever it's all said and done, George, he should be the first page, first paragraph. I mean, very, very well done on this.
Yeah. I agree with you on that one.
But UFC, what else do we get here today, Luke?
There's not a whole lot yet. I do know, I believe the MLB is meeting with the Players Union tomorrow to discuss their restart date. So that I'm assuming that that'll just go to some sort of a vote, some sort of conference before they figure that out. NBA hasn't made any announcements yet. NFL hasn't said anything yet. I did see Oregon shut down crowds at events through September. So that gives kind of an idea of what to expect for college football season. They're supposed to be playing Ohio State here. I think it's the second week of September, so there won't be any fans in attendance for that one. Yeah. And they had said something about if college campuses are still shut down, there's no way that they can have games. So sure. I don't know if that's going to be affected or anything yet. But we don't know anything still, so we'll have to keep our ears.
Now, Premier League said they will open up on June 1st, right?
Maybe. I haven't seen anything for sure from them. I haven't paid attention. But then again,
I might be wrong.
That's probably right, because I know they've been making the proper steps, and Europe's way better at this stuff than we are. We're sitting here still being jackasses, so we're probably months and months behind them. I know Bundesliga kicks off, I want to say Saturday, so the 17th. Oh, yeah. So we're getting 5 days away now, so
yeah,
or 6. I don't know. I can't do it. Dude, I'm all over the place. I can't count. So they're getting close. Hopefully that's a sign of things to come, and then nothing else to do but prepare for the NFL draft, I guess.
Oh yeah.
So I think I can watch. So I will have. I think tomorrow afternoon I'm going to release my top 32, I guess, for next year, preliminary summer grading, and then I'll preview it again on the show next week or something, and then try to get in. I know next year's class is just as good as this year, so it's going to be fun.
I like it.
And hopefully we can get a stream in this week. See if we can find a time to watch you get your ass kicked again.
Okay. But fair point.
Yeah, I mean, I only spit facts. I'm not gonna sit here and lie to you.
That's true.
We'll roll with some ideas over the next few days and try to get a time going.
Sure. We'll get something set up for you guys. We'll provide some kind of content for you.
Oh, yeah. You got anything else for this week?
No, I'm good, man. All my stuff righted on Saturday, and we talked about it, so I'm good.
Yeah. All right. Well, I guess that means we are out of here. We will catch you guys later this week and then again next week. So thanks for tuning in. And yeah, dude.
Take it easy, guys. We'll